Across the pond.
Good evening, welcome to another episode of Across the Pond. You're back with me, UAP Lee, for another episode. This week, we do have a special guest with us yet again, as you're getting used to now with our shows. Joining us this week is none other than Jon Stewart. Now, if you're well versed with the alien interview, the only one as far as I'm concerned that's got any credibility to it. If you've seen it online, the interview with an alien, it's in a darkened room and there's a lot of ambiguous activity going on. Now, this thing's been circulating for 30 years, and for 30 years, it's yet to be debunked. It's been through various analysts, and Jon has done his due diligence and beyond, I think it's fair to say. I think it's fair to say he's gone beyond just having a little bit of a deep look at this thing. He spent 30 years digging into it. So, Jon, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know you're probably a busy man, but much appreciated.
Lee, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to your viewers and to everyone out there watching. I was just telling Lee how much I enjoy talking to anybody from England. The 2 times I've been there have been awesome. And I'm not saying that to pander to anybody who's watching tonight, but you those watching from Britain and Great Britain, you occupy a very, very unique part of the world, and anyone that I've ever met there has been totally gracious. So thank you for having me.
Well, Jon, you've done a fantastic job of buttering up the viewers, and off air as well, you were full of compliments and nothing but nice words for me as well, which is, I wouldn't say it's a shock, but it's very nice. It's nice to get so many compliments for a change. But thanks for joining us this evening, Jon. First things first. Let's get into the background of yourself first. So you're coming from obviously quite a unique place. You're not your traditional UAP buff, if you don't mind me saying. So please do just give us a bit of an insight into your background first of all, where you come from, what you do professionally, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, this is what's so nice about being at the end of the investigation after 6 years. I have so much more perspective on my role in ufology, and I think many people in ufology have been sorely disappointed at my background, my delivery, my man of the street, a guy having a beer in a pub type verbiage and conversational style that I have. I am not that articulate of a 58-year-old man, and my background is not from MIT or Stanford or Oxford. I don't come with an engineering degree, but what I do come with is a hell of a lot of tenacity. I cannot be see, I can't think of words. I can't be dissuaged. You can't get rid of me, and that has been very fortuitous for me in the alien investigation. And I say that the fact that I was a college, high school, semi-pro football player, American style football. I became a professional wrestler in 1986 when I was 19 years of age. And it's my wrestling and football background that has given me this, you can't stop me. When I get my mind set to something, I'm going to go forward until I sack the quarterback, so to speak, if I can use a metaphor. And well, I don't know if I guess it is to some degree. A-type personality, aggressiveness, a one-set mentality where I don't stop until I try to do whatever I can to set my goals. People call that aggressive, alpha male. I don't think that about me. I just think that I'm a very determined person. And this video grabbed me in 1997 like pretty much no other really aspect in society or topic in society has. I say this truly. It wasn't the only thing that I've ever been this obsessed with was the Jack the Ripper murders. And when the Diary of James Maybrick came out in 1993, whether you believe it or not, I went, oh wow, I got to get into this. And it's the same tenacity that I've taken over to this video. And I was getting out of pro wrestling in 96, 97. I was running for public office. I was an automobile dealer at the time for my family, automobile dealership. And I saw this video in 1997, and I have knew enough about ufology and conspiracies. I've been watching conspiracy documentaries since the mid 70s. So I got it. You know, I wasn't a babe in the woods. And for lack of a better word, for what, I'll get to that. I saw this tan alien that was supposed to be a gray alien, right? I saw medics in short sleeve medical scrubs, in simple surgical masks, not in pressurized suits. I wasn't a producer from Hollywood. If I'm hoaxing a video of an alien in an underground facility getting interviewed, my medics are coming in with the PS2 pressurized suits on to really hype up the video. There's two military officers in the foreground, and all you see is their shoulders. I thought to myself, there's a stool in front of the alien, in front of the alien's table. And I just said to myself, this is the worst hoax. Did it take them, what, a half hour to produce this? Or this just might be a run-of-the-mill interview, one of thousands since the 40s, of an off-planet or interdimensional being. And when I heard Victor speak like he was a program director for the government, speaking like he was a tenured professor at Oxford, the verbiage that Victor used, like the interview sweet, not room, that the being starts to medically flag. I'm college educated. I'm not a scholar, but I'm pretty well versed in the English language. In this bad hoax, quote unquote, you have this man who's the most intelligent person I've ever heard speak, still to this day. He talks about the primitive conceptual framework of human beings. Having aliens take their knowledge and give it to human beings would be like humans trying to teach calculus and put it into the grunts and screeches of chimpanzees. And I knew enough about Hollywood at that time to know screenwriters, especially for second-tier video production company. And folks, you need to hear what I'm saying here. You know, this is a step-by-step lineage, a linear development and investigation that I put together, that all of these puzzle pieces, this mosaic, does not make sense as far as a hoax. And I said to myself, what I know about Hollywood, there is no way a 25-year-old screenwriter before the internet knew that terminology, could come up with the philosophical verbiage in word tracks that Victor came up with. To me, it was impossible. And I said, I don't know what I'm looking at. And I want people to, Lee, very important, if you and I never talk again, if we talk next month, if you talk about me behind my back to somebody, please promise me one thing. I simply went at this video to find out the truth. Was it a hoax? Was it a real video? Was it a psyop? Very careful there. Was it a government psyop? I just wanted to find the truth. So anyone's coming, listening to my interview, he's full of shit. Matey, he's full of I'm just going to tell you for the next hour what I heard, what I saw, what other people told me, whether that was bullshit or not, what military intelligence insiders told me, and eventually, from 10 days ago, that's right, finding the actual Victor, who is still alive. The rabbit hole on this video is dark and deep. And again, I simply wanted to find the truth, and what I am going to tell you tonight is simply what I witnessed, what I saw, and what I was told. That is now for your audience to take back and say, this guy, what he was told was full of shit. Don't say that this really bothers me, so let me say this. Don't say that I am full of shit, because all I am doing is regurgitating my investigation and trying to make as little assumptions of my opinion as possible. And I hope people appreciate that. And you need to know that you're on this journey with me now. and listen to what I experienced. And it's for you to make up your own mind.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I will say as well, if you are looking on from the audience, Jon's not just a guy who's just happened to come across this video and then done 20 minutes on Google looking to see if this thing's legit. This is in-depth, heavily in-depth research, and you've asked the right questions to the right people as well, moreover, as you've mentioned. So before we get stuck into the crux of this thing, let's see if I can share the screen. Here we go. The Yorkshireman coming up with his technology. Let's see if we can manage it. Right. Share. That's a black screen there, isn't it?
Yes, black. Ladies and gentlemen, you might be on watching a podcast of the two worst technical people in ufologies. Here we go. I see it. Yeah. I can see it.
All right, people.
Yeah,
thank you very much. Do let me go, by the way. I am a Yorkshireman, okay? So the technological aspects of this podcasting thing, I'm still beyond me, so be gentle. But here we go. So this is the video, okay? So this is the video that Jon's spent years of his life researching. Let's press play and let's see it. Can you still see the screen there, Jon, yeah? Is it going
I can
larger?
leave. Yes, I can leave. Yes, it is.
Perfect.
Fine.
Here we go then, guys, from the top.
There it goes.
All right, we're looking at the interview suite at S4. It's kept dark for the comfort of the aliens. The figure who is just barely visible in the left foreground is the telepath, and behind the camera is a raked seating area for observers. Although in this case, I believe the only other person...
Sorry guys, one thing I will say, just for you guys listening on, the voice in the background, this is Victor, who Jon referred to just before we press play. Victor is speaking.
...was a military aide. The alien is seated behind a glass partition in a biocontainment area, which is maintained at biosafety level 2, the lowest designation. That's primarily for the protection of the aliens, not us. The theory is that if they were going to infect us with an alien bug, it would have happened 50 years ago. In fact, all the indications are the aliens eliminated microbial and viral life from their own ecosystem long ago. They aren't susceptible to our diseases directly, but it has been shown that microbes can reproduce and form colonies within their respiratory systems, which tends to exacerbate the debilities they seem to suffer anyway in our environment. In fact, you can see here the alien is beginning to flag. The interview was not going well. The telepath was trying to clarify some points from a previous interview, but he wasn't receiving coherent responses. As you can see, the being is in real distress. At this point, the telepath is sending out a message to the medical staff. He's trying to communicate with the alien, but he's getting no response. There's very little he can do. There's no direct connection between his space and the biocontainment area. That's the aide stepping in on the right. The medical staff should be there by now. They're slow in responding. There they are. I have to say the medical personnel at S4 are less than first rate. They tend to be selected for their willingness to keep secrets rather than their medical competence. By the way, he's not shining that light into the eyes. It looks that way, but in fact he's checking for hemorrhaging around the eye sockets and in the nasal cavity. I'm sorry. It's very hard for me to watch this.
So there you go. That's pretty much the whole. Well, there's more to it, I think, isn't there, Jon? If I'm right in saying.
Yeah, it's part of an hour
documentary.
documentary. Yes.
So there you go, guys. It's part of an hour-long documentary. That was just a snippet from the video, but that gives you the crux of it. And the guy speaking over the background, that's Victor. So, Jon, obviously, he's mentioned a lot of stuff in that as Victor. There's a few things, buzzwords that I've picked up on. S4 or S2 being one of them. That area, something we've mentioned before. Underground, subterranean facilities that have been mentioned there as well. We've heard about that, especially with the J-Rod things. I mean, I don't know if they're linked. But, you know, one thing about this subject is that once you've delved into it, you can start seeing a bigger picture by connecting a lot of the dots, and you hear a lot of information repeating again. So much to the case that a lot of this starts becoming almost too good to be true, as in it's not a coincidence. It can't be a coincidence that there's so many people saying the same thing from different times, different areas, but same information, same details. So, John, from that video, obviously you watched that first time. When are we looking? What, 90? I mean, was it 97 when you first watched it for the?
Correct.
So you saw that in 97, and you're a guy who's sort of semi-interested in UAPs. What are you thinking when you watched that initially, and then talk me through where the journey began from you wanting to delve into that?
I think it's really important that I say this right now to all of your viewers. That black video, the black background with the alien, that is not, listen to me, folks, that is not how the original VHS tape from Victor was given to the production company. The original videotape had a bluish hue. It looked like a closed circuit security camera. The blackness of the production of the video was done by the production company for dramatic effect. The blue video that Victor produces, you see the chest, the shoulders, the arms. There was no attempt to hide anything. And really, the production company really did a disservice by making, yes, it looks way better on camera, on screen. It doesn't have that fuzzy blueness, but they really did a disservice because it does look like a puppet at times because all you see is the head. But the medic eventually shines the flashlight on the being's thorax, his chest. You see the arm, the chest. You can get a close-up where you see the mouth opening and close, black substance oozing from the mouth. When the creature coughs, the skin around the ocular, the top of the ocular cavity moves up as it coughs. For 1996, this was one hell of an animatronic puppet if this was fake. So I am saying to myself, after watching the Alien Autopsy and all of these other bad productions of hoax beings and whatnot, I said to myself, this has some weird, there is a bizarre quality here. It's too casual. Everything is wrong that you would do to make this a believable hoax. You would give it almond eyes, gray skin, pressurized suits. You wouldn't have other objects in the background. The physiological monitor, which was the hook for me, other than Victor, the green dot is going up and down. Then it starts going crazy when the creature starts having a respiratory attack. The two military men, only see their shoulders. I mean, a producer or a director would be like, cut. Oh, guys, all we see are your shoulders. Move to the side. Or why even put them in the video? Pay them, put them in wardrobe, feed them, get them to the studio to just put their shoulders in the shot. It's just none of it made sense from start to beginning, start to end.
Well, if you're going to make a hoax, as you've quite rightly said, if you're going to go to the hassle of making a hoax, firstly, you're going to, like you say, you're going to throw as much of it as you can, aren't you? You're going to make it look as official as possible. And as you, again, quite rightly said, anybody with a medical, or from a professional medical standpoint, they would be dressed appropriately, firstly. And like you said, the set would be done professionally. It'd look like you'd put it in a movie, wouldn't you? And that looks like it's been done in an ISO container. So you're right.
Right. Thank you, Lee. That's all I'm saying. Thank you. That's all I'm saying. It was like, Lee, I give the little story humorously, like if we've had them since 1947, maybe even 45 aliens, if I never speak absolutes, folks. In 1990,
Watch this thing in 1997, and you're looking at it, and you've dissected it a bit, and think, okay, there could be something to this. Now you've taken it naturally. You're going to want to look into this and check with an analyst. The first thing I'd want to do is get the video authenticated with somebody that knows about film and the legitimacy of it, and has it been doctored. So I imagine that's obviously a path that you've taken early on. Is that correct in assuming so?
yeah. So we skipped over my larger statement, but that's okay. I'm just saying that no. I'm just saying if you're going to spend $100,000 on one of the best animatronic puppets in 1996, you would continue that with a very high-tech set and pressurized suits, and that's all I'm saying. So yeah.
Yeah, and
so
another thing, just to add to that, John. Just to jump in, and this is the last time, and I'm going to shut up.
No, go ahead.
But again,
Please. No, go ahead.
This is another thing, right? If you'd spent all that money on making such an incredibly convincing puppet, why have they never reused it in any further videos? There's another question. Why would you invest it in all that, do you know, and never use it again? There's
Lee,
another thing.
Ask your skeptics, why hasn't the puppet maker ever come forward? It's 30 years later. You mean to tell me in Hollywood, a guy or woman that made that alien in 30 years haven't said to some hottie little Sheila at a pool party, I made that. You see that alien? I made that. I made that. No one in 30 years, can the skeptics explain this? I'm not saying it's real. No one in 30 years has come forward to say, my uncle worked on it. He made the puppet. It's in his garage. It's in his studio. We've never found the puppet. We've never found the puppeteer. And not one person has come forward in 30 years to say, I did the catering for that production. I was one of the doctors. I built the animatronic puppet. I created the physiological monitor. I made the soundstage. I did the editing. No one in 30 years. Can anyone explain that? I certainly can't.
So that's just what, well, I mean, we've mentioned just in the 10 minutes alone, at least 6 or 7 anomalies. But the anomalies just keep coming, don't they? And we've mentioned again the amount of money that must have been used to prepare the props,
right.
Firstly. The people who were involved in it never came forward. And then, you've got... you've got a lot of whistleblowers that have come forward, from the UAP, and nobody's ever mentioned anything about this either. But they've S4, the S2, there's a lot of information that comes out that backs it up. What Victor said in that interview and beyond, obviously, it marries up so much with other information that's come to light, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's 2019. And I said, I'm going to do a deep dive. Probably not the smartest thing to do because I'm about $30,000 US dollars shy in my bank account after 7 years of investigating that. So anybody wants to laugh at me, my delivery, I'm a blowhard, which may be true or not. I took $30,000 of my money to find out the truth about this video. So if that doesn't impress you a little bit, I really don't know what else to say. So the first thing I did exactly what you said. Go to the experts. I found 3 PhD candidates in Sweden who were doing the history of physiological monitors around the world. I showed them this clip. Lee, in 5 minutes, they wrote me back, emailed me back and said, we have no idea what this is. We don't even know what we're looking at. We don't know. It's called the trace, the little dot. We don't know why the trace does not move horizontally on the screen like every single physiological monitor ever built since the 1910s. The trace goes up and down, and we can't figure out why that happened. I called Hewlett-Packard and Space Labs, both who made physiological monitors in the 80s and 90s when this was filmed. None of them can figure out what it was. Somebody from Hewlett-Packard said, I think you're looking at a one-off. And I said, what's a one-off? He said, a one-off is a specially made device. It's not on a production run, and it's made and designed for a specific purpose. He said, if this was what you said was in an underground facility monitoring an alien, a human physiological monitor would be useless to monitor the physiology of an extraterrestrial. You would have to create a certain device to monitor the organs and the physiology of an alien. Like, okay, thank you for not laughing at me. And I'm sitting in my car. I did this in my car in 4 hours, Lee. And I said, what is going on here? You know, the little hairs on the back of my neck. I'm like, Victor, a tan alien that's not gray, round eyes, skin moving. I got everyone telling me, the experts telling me we don't know what this is. Now I send the film. I write a check for $2,700 to a man that was hired by National Geographic to do the Patterson-Gimlin famous Bigfoot film, right? And I sent him the film. He comes back and he says, I can't tell you if it's real or not. Of course, no one can at this point. He said, but I can tell you this. This was filmed on 16 millimeter film. And I said, Bill, why is that weird or mysterious? I'm like, I don't even know what 16 millimeter film is. He said, no one was using that in the 90s. Only government audiovisual documentation and some snippets of 16 millimeter blank film was laying around some studio houses, but nobody ever used it. And he said, it's something weird. And I don't know why they would do this. It was filmed on 16 millimeter, and then they transferred it to VHS tape. So if you're the production company hoaxing us, you film this on expensive 16 millimeter film. You take that film, you cut out the DNI 27, which is on the bottom of the film, folks. This is the bombshell. That's about a $3,000 procedure. You recopy the film again. Then you take the film and you put it through a machine to transfer it to VHS tape, to hand the VHS tape back to yourself. Folks, I'm not trying to convince you. Does that make any sense? Why would you just not shoot it on VHS tape, give it to Victor if he's an actor, tell him to hand it to us in the office and we'll go on our business? Why would you go through those steps that one of the number one experts in the world said without a doubt this is the way it was shot? Why would you do 16 millimeter, transfer it to VHS, emblazon the DNI 27 on the bottom? What possible purpose would you do that when you know that technology wasn't available, the internet really wasn't available back then, where somebody could analyze this documentary and say something is not right here? And I once I had the Victor's verbiage, once I had the film information, and once I had the monitor information, I went on to the internet, radio shows, because I knew from the 70s and 80s when a nincompoop like me, who knows nothing, and again, I hope people can appreciate, I am not an expert in anything ufology. I have been grasping in the dark at straws like Mr. Magoo for 7 years. That's the charm of me. It is the people on the internet, intelligence assets from the military, who have almost felt sorry for me and helped me. And I mean that sincerely. So I don't ever want to come across as I'm the smartest. I'm not. I've had angels on the internet and in military intelligence help me decipher what was going on. So I go on a radio program called Jeff Rent's, one of the oldest conspiracy alternative website radio programs. My emails get swiped an hour before I go on his show. All of my emails on my iPhone on 4 different platforms: Gmail, iCloud, 2 AOLs, all of the read but not deleted emails were swiped.
Sorry, just back up a little bit, John. When was this, mate? Obviously, you mentioned iPhone. You watched it in '97. You'd done some research. How many years doing that research before you
started in 19? I went on this internet show on America Memorial Day, May 29th of 2022. So
25 years. Just confirming, just get into the position where you can say with 100% certainty, this is legit, now I need help. So that's 25 years doing that work.
Why 25 years to say something is not right with this film? Why are these experts telling me they can't tell me what is with this film? Does that make sense? I went to the experts. It's not my opinion. The experts are saying, I don't know. The other expert, I don't know. The other expert, why would they do this process? It's so time consuming. Other directors telling me, why hasn't anybody come forward in 30 years? Nobody signs 30-year NDAs in Hollywood. So all of this, like I said, this was a mosaic. Here was another piece and another piece. And I'm looking at this picture going, I don't know the truth, but something's not right here. I'm intelligent enough to know something weird is going on. That's all I'll have to say then. Sure enough, about 10 days after I make this radio appearance, a man emails me and says, I am familiar with these programs, the legacy program, the extraterrestrial phenomenon with the government. I caught your interview on Jeff Rentz. You got some things right. You got some things wrong. I like what you did. I like what you're trying to do. If I can give you a nudge, never forget that word, I will. And for 9 months, Lee, he would email me once a month, asking me a question, see how I'm doing, give me a riddle, tell me a funny joke, answer a question that I may have of him. And on my birthday of 2023, now I'm a public figure, it's kind of hard to find my birthday though. On my birthday, I get an email called The Horse's Mouth. And I want to be very specific here. Again, it might be bullshit, folks. I know. I'm just telling you what happened. On my birthday, this is a very old man, by the way. He forwards me an email from his friend inside the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, that allegedly runs the umbrella program at S4. All things extraterrestrial, the DIA runs. They're the top of it. He forwards me an email from this man. So my leaker is now forwarding me an email from one of his colleagues with the DIA. But he doesn't eliminate the email address. And he doesn't eliminate what the guy wrote on the bottom, which said, please refrain from using my name in conjunction with this information. If you're hoaxing me, would you really tell your 70-year-old friend to say, and when you give me the information for this crazy guy in Chicago, right on the bottom, like we're just regular friends, don't use my name, and I'm going to give you my real name, because it was his real name. I'm sorry, I think that's ridiculous. I was looking at an email between two friends, two colleagues, two professionals, one asking the other, can you help me with this information about this film? And what I was sent was a retranscribed, so we wouldn't be violating any top secret document agreements or top secret document laws in America, was basically, Lee, the whole story, what kind of being it was, what day it was, the time, the star system it came from, who was in the room, the viewing gallery, watching that being, the names of the military men and the doctors tending to the being, the two telepaths doing thought projection. It's not telepathy. One thing I will be certain of, it is not telepathy beings use. It is what they call thought projection. They implant pictures in your mind, not so much word tracks or sentences so much, but more of the picture and then the automatic thought, but you don't hear the thought being set out. Like you see a playground, Lee, this is the playground of my planet where I used to play as a kid. You just know that. Does that make sense? Okay. I am in my car. My hand is shaking as I am reading this. It was like going into your father's drawer as a kid, his top drawers. See, I don't know. I can't think of a better analogy. It's like you're discovering a secret of men, right? Like a club, like a Masonic ritual of seeing these actual names. I haven't Googled them yet. I'm going to tell you what it said. This was considered an unauthorized viewing, not a theft. If I was hoaxing this, I would have said concerning the theft of this film out of S4. He didn't say that. The DIA called it an unauthorized viewing. Yes, us, America, the world. We were the unauthorized viewers. On April 22nd, 1991 at 3:15 in the afternoon, a thought projection interview was conducted with a other gray. These things were so run of the mill. There were so many different species that they called this the other gray. It was from the Tau Ceti star system, which is in the Reticulum star constellation. It was a CEBE, cloned extraterrestrial biological entity, part machine, biologic being. It claimed it did have a soul. We did find that out. Yes, we have souls. It is later told the telepaths. And then it said these were the military people and the men in the room during this interview. And it listed a rear admiral. It listed a Navy captain in naval intelligence. It listed a doctor. It listed another doctor. It listed a man in Army, United States Army intelligence. It listed 2 telepaths who it said were Carthusian monks. My car going, what is this? The Da Vinci Code? What? So I start to Google the names. Lee, it was still one of the most bizarre experiences ever. I go to the email. I see the first name, Rear Admiral Ned Schaefer. I go to Wikipedia. There is his biopic with his Navy outfit on. He's in intelligence. He was the intelligence liaison for General Colin Powell. I go to the next guy, Captain Lowell Jacoby, Naval Intelligence. I go to see his picture. Here he is in his black Class A dress uniform, a biopic. He became a DIA director, a rear admiral in the Navy. I go to my one investigator. I said, it's a hoax. He's like, what? Are you serious? It's a hoax. It's a funny story. He's like, why? I said, it says here, Captain Lowell Jacoby, Naval Intelligence. I went on the internet. He retired a rear admiral. It's a hoax. My investigator goes, you're not the smartest guy in the room. He goes, John, this list was from 91. Do you think that was his rank in 91? And 25 years later, he became a rear admiral? And I'm like, who would think of that? A 70-year-old? I know the ages of these 2 men. In their late 60s, somebody thought of that? To give the ranks in 1991? Okay, whatever. It gave me Dr. Craig McPherson, and it didn't really know who he was. It put scientist, ? Because obviously the DIA report did not specify who he was. We later find out this was a man that was actually interviewed by Linda Moulton Howe, and he admitted, I was a scientist at Area 51, and I worked in reverse propulsion, but I never worked with aliens, he told Linda. Made specific sure of that. Beneath him was a Dr. Wilford Webb Wilson. I Google him. It's got his birth in his obituary. A medical doctor. 60 years. That's all you have on the internet? Go ahead.
Have you ever managed to find out whether, I mean, obviously you've got the information from this email suggesting that these guys were in the video, but have you managed to look at the military records, or ever managed to get hold of military records to see where these guys...
Well, I have. I'm going to stop in a few minutes. Yes. So I said, well, this is weird. A doctor with nothing on the internet. The first one, Ned Schaefer, the rear admiral, is dead. The second one, Captain Jacoby, retired DIA director. Lee, I get his email. I start emailing him. I said, I'm a documentarian, which I wasn't, doing a documentary. He said, please, I stopped wearing the uniform years ago. Call me Jake. Blah, blah, blah. I live in Virginia, blah, blah, blah. I write him back. Oh, I heard the fried chicken there is great. You're retired. You're retired military. You must love playing golf. I'm fried chicken. And he's laughing. I mean, we're internet buddies. He writes me back. Yeah, he writes me back. So what is it that you want? You contacted me about. And I said, look, this came across my desk. Please don't be mad at me, but I'm going to send this report to you. I just want your opinion. He ghosts me. Now, I've been emailing him for 2 weeks, laughing, going to go play golf, ghosts me. He saw his name on there and he ghosted me. And many military people have told me an honorable military person will not lie to you. He just won't talk to you anymore. And that really, and I wrote him back and I'm like, will you please just make contact with me? He refused to. I could not find the man in Army military intelligence. And that scared me because if I could find all of the other people, why can't I find a person in military intelligence? And I stopped looking for him because, quite frankly, I was paranoid. I didn't want to poke that hornet's nest of actually, exposing somebody that obviously has a cover to some degree because he can't be searched on the internet. Here's the wildest story, Lee. And this is on my honor. So I look up the Dr. Wilford Webb Wilson, died in California. I find his widow. I call her up. This is the doctor on the being's right shoulder, the doctor to our left. I call up his widow, his second wife. I said, Pam, I'm making her name up. I'm Jon Stewart, documentary. I got something that came across my desk about your husband, Webb. I would like to just to run this by you. Please don't hang up with me. I'm sincere, but this is crazy. Is there any way Webb, that's his nickname. I find it funny that I get his nickname on this fake report. That is his nickname to his wife. She's 80 years old. Is there any possibility that your husband, and Lee, can you imagine saying this to her, was involved with extraterrestrials or aliens at Area 51? There's a pause. And I'm like, hello? She's like, I'm still here. Lee, I'm going to look you straight in the eye. What I'm going to tell you is the gospel truth. She goes, Jon, a light bulb is coming on over my head. I said, why? She's like, there was a really problem in my marriage. There was a big bone of contention between Webb and I in our marriage for 20 years. And you are almost illuminating, I think, why it was. I was like, I can't believe this. I'm like, Pam, what was it? She said, every time we would go out with our friends who were in the armed services, everyone would talk about their military service except Webb. Webb would be quiet. Webb never told me what he did in the United States Army Medical Corps. And she said, I always said to myself, my friends asked me, what is he so secretive? What did he do? Did he do like bizarre experiments like the Nazis? Why does he never talk about his time in the military service? And she said, Jon, you are solving a family secret right now. Lee, I am telling you the God's honest truth, what this woman told me. The medic on the alien's right. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I said, Pam, can I send you the video? Can you look at it? I blew it up. It is fuzzy. I call her back in 5 minutes. She's like, I can't be 100% sure, but the bridge of his nose, his face structure behind that mask, I've seen it behind a surgical mask a million times. She said, Jon, that's my husband. That's my husband on the being's right shoulder. Now, folks, whether you think I'm full of shit or not, she's lying to me. It's all a hoax. What do you do with this information now? Can you imagine what you would think of being me going, no one is lying. No one is telling me I'm crazy. No one's hanging up on me. Everyone telling me they can't figure it out. I have an 80-year-old woman in California telling me I've solved a family secret. She said, I know you're from Chicago. I want to give you my daughter's phone number. If you ever want to call her to talk to her about his stepfather, go ahead. Like she was going to invite me over for, a party. She said, keep in touch. I really appreciate you contacting me today and helping me with a mystery that I could never solve. So with all of this, I'm going to start going a little faster. I contacted the New York Times, Rolf Blumenthal, Leslie Keene, who did the ATIP Tic Tac about back in 23, about 2 months after my last phone call with this woman. I thought I had enough evidence, and I think anybody out there would agree. The monitor, the film stock, the number on the bottom, the woman, the military men. I could hand over dossiers on all of them. thought I had enough information to take it to Ralph Blumenthal, Leslie Keane, who came out with the 2017 Tic Tac Fast Mover video and A-Tip and Allsap. And we met in Midtown Manhattan. I've never told the story publicly. And I told Shiv I would give you a bombshell. And I'm going to tell you this now. And I'll be very brief. But I had many people tell me that Leslie Keane, to be very careful with her. Not that she's a plant, that Leslie's military. I am not making that assumption or cogitation whatsoever. But that she is monitored, that she talks to a lot of insiders, and I am treading on very dangerous ground. Now, that's something you want to hear as you're flying to New York City, that, you know, you're going to be followed and I just got this overall feeling that because Leslie Keane was one of the people meeting me at the Midtown Hilton in Manhattan, that I would get assassinated. And I know that sounds crazy, but I want people to understand the seriousness of this investigation that it took. I'm not saying that I was in my right mind or that I had a good reason to feel this, but so many UFO luminaries were going, Leslie Keane, Jon, be careful, please. Lee, many luminaries were warning me about Leslie. And I don't say that to be derogatory, just because she has many contacts with the deep state and with the military. I was in my hotel room. Again, I'm telling a story I've never shared. I wet a towel. I took a towel and made it wet and shoved it under the door and put the desk under the door, fearing that somebody would try and put something, some kind of smoke under my door or barge the door or open the door with a master key. I didn't get a one iota of sleep that night, fearing that I just had this overall dread that I was going to be assassinated in New York City. And I don't say that to, curry favor, poor Jon. I say that to tell people, to get them into the mindset of this was really taking a serious turn. This was exposing a shadow government's deep secret, deep project that was more secretive than the Manhattan program. And the New York Times were possibly going to do this. That's the gravity of the situation. And Ralph and Leslie heard my investigation. They said if somebody comes forward from the military to back it up, we're going to do the story. I find it funny because people call it a limited hangout. About 5 months after I talked to Ralph and Leslie, and then I went to Congress in Washington, started giving them my investigation of the whole rundown of what I had received, David Grush shows up and says, basically, we have craft and we have biologics, the pilots. And for some reason, whether somebody warned Ralph or Leslie, whether somebody said, it's fake, don't listen to that guy, they dropped the story. They dropped the ball on it. And that was very disheartening. But military people were saying, you do know Grush came forward or was pushed forward because you went to Congress with that crazy video and that crazy investigation packet. And it's called a limited hangout. When a guy like me comes forward with the story, ladies and gentlemen, they've got beans in retention, isolation, underground at Area 51. They have the craft, the reverse engineering. The government rolls out somebody to give a watered down version of your story. And what does David Grush say? Yes, we may have a craft, and with the craft you get biologics. I'll tell you more in a skiff, a secured room to tell top secret information. And so Intel was warning me that they thought David Grush was being pushed out by the military or by Intel to give a watered down version of my alien retention and interrogation program, which is what they called this video thought projection interviews that they did about once every month with these beings.
Jesus. You've gone to New York Times. They run the story?
No, they dropped the story because I don't know why to this day. I don't know if somebody told Leslie, that guy's full of it, that video's fake. But why would you take that it's fake at face value with all of the information that I brought? Certainly, if the video is fake, certainly I have brought enough information to maybe conclude that the government did it, with the 16 millimeter, the VHS, the coding on the bottom of the screen, the high tech animatronic puppet that was created from a second tier video production company never made sense. All of the anecdotal stories from military people, insiders, that were coming forward to me, telling me the lineage of this entire program, which was under the umbrella of Project Aquarius. And again, I just ask people, most of my witnesses are in their 60s and 70s. Does it really make sense that a group of 60 and 70-year-old retired intel and military people got together and decided to hoax a automobile dealer from Chicago over the course of 7 years? Does that even make any sense to anybody's recollection? Isn't it Occam's razor? The fact that something bizarre is going on south of Area 51. We probably will never know for sure what, but it certainly isn't. It certainly isn't just biological warfare research. Something they are examining, questioning, and reverse engineering material, craft, and biologics. I think that is a conclusion we could all come to, because I don't think all of these people would be lying. For what purpose? I know you would lie. I want to say this. I know you would lie and say that's a UFO in the sky to hide a secret, top secret, new development of an airplane, right? That makes sense. On that lineage, what would you tell us you have aliens for? What would be the lineage of that? That you're creating clones of human beings or hybrids? Or that's the only thing you would say, there's aliens south of Area 51, that you're cloning human beings, which is really, again, which people have told me, the truth might be scarier than we have aliens south of Area 51. That, folks, don't ever think that might be still the cover story. And the truth is, we're demonic and we're bizarre in our government, and we're creating clones and hybrids and different species or whatnot. The aliens might be a cover story. So I hope people can appreciate that. Who knows what the ultimate truth is?
Well, the thing is, John, the more that the years tick by now, and seems to have been a cascading snowball effect since COVID. Since the end of COVID, since the lockdowns lifted, essentially the cat came out the bag. And it wasn't just on the UAP topic. There was other stuff as well. Obviously, 2017 sort of started the UAP thing in a big way with the New York Times, believe it or not. We've already mentioned that denied your information crazily. But point being is, we've got this snowball effect now that seems to be happening, and it's happening throughout multiple topics. We've got this level of suppression that seems to be fading away. This veil is falling.
Yes.
That the deep state have had in place for multiple decades now, and you can attribute just the UAP topic all the way back to 47 if you want to start at Roswell, 32 if you want to start with Mussolini. They go back.
Magenta, Italy, yeah.
Yeah, and then So we've got this all the way back now. And we've got all of this information that we've had from, this whistleblower, that whistleblower, this story and that story. And you, obviously, with your story and with your information, I'm not going to call it a story because it's not. We'll call it a case because it's legitimate. You've got all of this evidence, all of this information, and it all marries up. And as you mentioned already on the podcast today, it's like a mosaic. It's the best way of describing it. It's perfect. Is that you get all these little pieces to put it together. And eventually you start seeing the picture. As a UAP topic as a whole now, I'd say that we're 80% of the way there. We can all see, all of us within this topic now, we can all see the big picture. But the last 20% of it is the corruption and the people that are holding on to this secret tightly and they won't let it go. Now, obviously 2023 came around, you went to the New York Times, you was rebuffed. Naturally, you've got this huge case in your hands, you've got all this information. Did you go and look for alternative media, maybe Ross Coulthart, News Nation, those types of avenues, or maybe politically, going for some people like Eric Burlison, Tim Burchett?
I did. And I can't say the news reporter you just mentioned, we have an agreement not to mention his name anymore. But somebody made a great point. Yes, I went to Tim Birch's office. I flew to D.C. and hand delivered the video and the investigation to Tim Burchett, Luna, to Nancy Mace, O'Malley, to Andre Carson, Rubio, Gillibrand, Gallagher from Green Bay, Wisconsin. A reporter pulled me aside, and I won't say their name, and it's not the guy you just mentioned. He said, I think you're missing the big picture. Your video's too bizarre. The ramifications, if that thing is real, and he made the greatest word track I have heard. He said, Jon, it's too freaking bizarre. The ramifications are so wide-reaching, so catastrophic, that nobody wants to take it seriously. And he said the greatest word track. He said, no one is going to be able to, at this point, to metabolize the fact that that may be true, that may be an authentic off-planet being. And it is what a Vatican official told me when I was in Havana, Cuba. And he said, if you can prove this is real, you hold the most important historical document in human history. Unless somebody could come up with a VHS tape of the crucifixion of Christ or a Polaroid of Moses parting the Red Sea, if you can prove that video, you have the most important historical document in human history, because it answers one of the two oldest questions man has had for 80,000 years. Where do we go when we die? And are we alone? So that is the gravity of this of this video. If we could ever convince the public that it is true, or convince myself that it's 100% true, because after finding Victor, the true Victor, and I had some fake ones who were great candidates, but 10 days ago, I'm sorry, I have to word this. Please don't laugh at me. After I found a man who is extremely familiar with the real Victor, there is a high probability, Lee, I hope you appreciate what I'm about to say, because I spent a lot of money on this, that may be a highly crafted, highly organized psyop by the United States government. For whatever reason, some people have said part of a public acclamation program. Other people have told me that video happened. That being looks exactly like the one you see with the Victor video. They staged it, they recreated it, so they wouldn't violate any of agreements, so they could say 25 years later, hey, don't blame us. We tried to show you what happened, down in S4, just like the alien autopsy, a completely fake video except for the last minute, but a fake video that was directly based off of actual footage. I'm just saying that is now a distinct possibility with the alien interview. So again, the UFO curse has touched me. No matter how long you go, no matter how much you spend, how long you investigate, you're never, ever, ever going to fully know the truth about UFOs.
The thing is, Jon, like I said, this is a developing, and I say this all the time, basically every episode we do on this show now.
It is.
It's an ever-evolving subject. But the thing is,
yes,
there's more credibility being lent to this topic now than there ever has been, I think, and I said this the other day, I think there's been more ground gained on this in the last 8 years than there has been in the 80 years before that. And it's only going to go faster now. Right. And I was writing things down the other day, and I did it, and I listed all of the events, essentially, from 2017 to now. And it looks to me, and this ties into what you said, I think it looks to me like this is a planned disclosure that is unfolding before our eyes. It looks like it is a planned disclosure. From the 2017 onwards, it looks that way.
Drip. It's exactly. Slow drip disclosure, absolutely.
Sure. So we're seeing this drip feed.
Sorry.
Now, when Tim Burchett, I think it was, or whoever you were speaking to from the Select Oversight Committee, the fact that they said that this is too much, or the reporter said it's too much and this won't get out now, that ties in with that leaked disclosure. It looks like this is essentially the letter Y or even Z. This could be that looks like the very last piece of the puzzle that you'd show the people once you'd acclimatized them to the reality of it. So I think what we're seeing now is that. Now, what we also know from this subject...
Can I interrupt you on one? Can I just say one quick thing before I forget? You are 100% correct. Folks, I am begging you to listen to my opinion right here. Most of the people from the legacy program, Dick Cheney, Vice President Cheney last week, are dead, are dying. They are waiting to get all of the people that signed their name to alleged money laundering, alleged assassinations, alleged obfuscation and malfeasance, lying to Congress. They are waiting for all of these people to attrition out of the program through death, to be quite honest. Because about 20 years ago, they started to feed all of this information, the material, and some of the biologics to private corporations who are free of public scrutiny and free of the prying eye. So I'm just telling you, and everyone is talking about 2025 is the year where they think enough of attrition will happen, where we're not going to have tribunals of arresting generals and retired CIA directors at the golf course in Virginia. Well, all of these men, just like the JFK assassination, have passed away and are now absolved from all of the wrongdoings. So that you are 100% right what's going on. I'm just telling you, it's the attrition of these men and women out of actually walking the planet, of death. And Dick Cheney was one of the last of them to die.
Well, I think, as we've mentioned, there's many steps on this ladder of disclosure. And I've been floating a theory. I don't know necessarily if I 100% believe it, but it's something that's in my mind. And I've been saying it now for almost a year, 2 years, in fact. I've been saying that maybe Trump is going to be the president that discloses this. And I'll tell you why. And I was looking at this. It's like, if we talk about this technology and the reverse tech and, Lockheed and Raytheon and Northrop Grumman and BAE, all the big buzzwords. These are the guys with the reverse technology, right? And this this technology, should it fall into the hands of the wrong people, could be essentially used as a weapon of war against us in the West, right? Naturally. So I understand the need for national security. Sure, fair enough. But if you're President Trump and you know about this, and I've heard already on the grapevine from people in official capacity, by the way, saying that Trump knows about this subject. He has been briefed, so has Marco Rubio, apparently. And he knows about it, but it's not his place to disclose this. But what he can be doing in the background, or what we seem to have seen happening since he's been on the scene, 2015 onwards, with his campaign and his presidency, is this slow trickle-fed disclosure. And what we're looking at now, or what I think has been happening for the last year since he got into presidency, and this is just a theory, but if you're dealing with technology that could potentially wipe people from the face of the earth, wipe countries off the maps, it makes sense to clear the plate of the world's wars and conflicts, to sort of settle things down before this information is released, right?
Sure.
Now, this is the president of peace. He's ended 8-9 wars in the last 12 months or whatever he's been in. So we've got that evidence. Oh, it's 9 months or whatever. It's not even been a year yet, has it? So we've got that evidence. The man's ending wars. He's trying to calm everything down. He's trying to build unions between old foes and enemies. Could that be another step along the way for disclosure? And then you tie that into people like Chris Bledsoe, who's got 3-letter agencies looking at him, and he keeps talking about 2026 Easter. There's another year, an interesting year that you mentioned, starting in 2025 onwards. So we've got all of these interesting years coming up. A lot of people saying things are going to be coming up and happening. We're seeing more things in the skies. We're seeing more and more evidence come from the government, from official capacity now. And citizen journalists are becoming essentially bigger voices, thankfully, obviously, for what people like yourself have done, have had that tenacity for the last 30 years in digging into this. But it seems like everything's building towards disclosure, John. So when it comes to this video now, is there a next step? Or have you just sort of rescinded to the idea that, yeah, all right, maybe you are step Z on an A through to Z alphabetical order of a disclosure period? Are you just sitting on it now, or are you still trying to push it?
No. I have realized that streaming platforms like Netflix HBO Max, Hulu, Amazon, that that could really stir the public for a grassroots action. I think this video, I think that my investigation, my journey, which is magical at times, scary at other times, almost like a Da Vinci Code movie at some points. I think this done in a big budget, linear docu-series, 8-part series, finding out exactly what I found out along the way, including Victor, will stir public sentiment to demand Congress to say, I don't care what you think of the video. You're going to help this guy figure out whether it's real or not. And if it's fake, we know the government probably did it because of the coding on the bottom that nobody would know of. Why is the government spending our money, our tax money, hoaxing and faking the United States people? I think a big budget Netflix docuseries, which is very close to happening, I will say, without jinxing it, is going to light a fire under the world's asses and help and demand that governments around the world, or the American government, help me put this video, its truth, which is all I want, its truth over the goal line. So yes, that is the last step of this.
Well, John, if I do say so, I think maybe you should sit by your phone on the 22nd of this month and don't stray too far from it, because on the 21st, the documentary Age of Disclosure has been released. So that's going to kick everything off.
Good fortune, yes.
Yeah, it's exactly good fortune, right? So that's going to kick everything off. Obviously, I think that's going to be a game changer if the right people see it.
Yeah.
It's going to be across the major platforms. So people are going to have the opportunity to see this thing. Now, that's the first of many stages. I think a lot of people are going to watch that and go, wow, there's something to this. And that'll set a lot of people off down the rabbit holes. And who will be waiting there, arms agape, with 30 years of case and evidence and video, but you. So there is a place for you in this, John, and I'm well behind you all the way, because like you, the thing that really pisses me off, and I will swear, is that it's the injustice of these corrupt bastards spending our money that we're working hard to earn on technology that could essentially free us all and from the shackles of fucking capitalism and taxation and all the rest of it.
That's right.
That's the injustice that drives me, John. It makes me angry. As a military man, the injustice of that makes me furious. So I do this for that. And it sounds a lot like, you know, you've got a lot of the same ethics and morals as far as your fight is.
Yeah, I've reminded congressmen, you know, you're talking about my facility south of Area 51, mine, my tax money, my hard work. I've been working since I was 16 years old, paying taxes. That's my facility. That monitor you're monitoring the alien with, that's my neighbor's monitor. It's not yours. That's ours. And people seem to like have a disconnection with that. We're not going to let you spend our money recklessly anymore. And this, I've told congressmen this, if we have a new form of energy, it'll wipe out the oil company. It's going to take 50 years to transfer the entire world over to some free energy, or, I mean, my God, the economic revolution that could create would pale in comparison to where the oil industry would, you know, level down over the course of those 50 years. It's really a circular argument that is that's nonsense.
Yeah, it is. It's a crazy idea. I mean, the fact is, we're stuck as a species now. We're stuck. We've hit the plateau. Technologically and scientifically, we are now being gagged by the corporations and the corruption. That is, we can't go any further. We hear scientists all the time being told the gags for the information and their research and development and their hypothesis and their results, more importantly, being gagged. We've seen it across many different platforms. Like I said, the UAP topic is changing. We've seen Jake Barber come forward at the beginning of the year. The Skywatcher team, they're doing really good things, talking about psionics, something that you've mentioned already today. Just another mosaic piece, as you like to put it. I'm going to nick that, John. I hope you don't mind. Yeah. I'm taking the mosaic analogy. I'm taking it with me. I usually use a jigsaw, but I like mosaic. It's a bit prettier. So things are changing. The world is changing. This topic is becoming more and more real. And I think the more that we talk about this and the more we share this round, the more people are going to start believing this stuff. This, for me, is an avalanche at this point. It's the momentum behind it. There's no stopping it. It's happening. And again, for people that are watching on, listening to this topic is very real. This interview is real, as far as I'm concerned. But whether you like it or not, you're on this journey with us. Whether, like I said, whether you like it or not, this is very real. It's coming out, and it's about time that you get on the train, really, get with the program. One thing you have mentioned there, John, funding. I mentioned it on the last show. I did Patrick Jackson. I interviewed him last time. I don't know if you know Patrick, the man behind the Sphere Network. Very interesting stuff. It ties in with Beatrice Villarreal's data, which is incredible. But I interviewed him, and we got to the same subject. This is about funding now. Now, tell me what you think of this. I figured, the people that want disclosure are the people. And we go cap in hand, as you have done and as many other people. We always end up having to go cap in hand to these production companies, asking for money, pitching them an idea, and then hopefully they like the idea, or hopefully their higher ups say, yes, we'll sign that off without getting into too much trouble. We are the people that want disclosure, so it should be us that are funding it. That way there's no limitations and no sort of restrictions on us and what you guys, you people, with the information or with the balls to do it, can do. So what I proposed to Patrick Jackson last time is that all of us get together and we have one GoFundMe or a crowd fund. And no matter who does the podcast, no matter who does the radio show, who does the documentary, that one link is at the end and we all plug it. And if all of the money goes into there, we have a centralised website and we have the projects. The people that are donating the money to it, could be £1. They all vote what project they want the money to go for. And whichever project gets the most votes gets the funding. So your documentary, your Netflix documentary, would be on there and the people can fund it. That's what it's down to us at this point. I think after 70 years of suppression, we know now that this is not going to be released by official means, and it's down to us. So what do you think of that as an idea? Is it about time that we, the people, got together on this?
Yeah, because where's Bigelow? Bigelow and Mellon, they're millionaires and billionaires. I don't see them funding anything that is moving the ball in ufology. And I think it's a fantastic idea. And it is. I'm an investigative reporter for whether I like it or not now. And the number one thing with an investigative reporter, follow the money. And the money's going to solve this. I've said that a million times. The money will solve this problem, this issue, and illuminate the entire world of what's going on.
Well, I said to Patrick, because Patrick's got a documentary about the Sphere Network that he wants to get going, and he needs £150,000 to make that start, or make that happen.
Right.
Now, some of the guys that we speak to online on TikTok, they've got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers. That's just 3 guys that I speak to. And there's others out there, Chris Ramsey with Area 52, Casper Site, millions of people. If just a percentage, if just 10% of their followers, if all of our followers put $1 in, then we've funded all of these documentaries, all of this stuff. We can get it out there. So this is down to us, and this is me appealing to the viewers, really. It's about time we got this done ourselves, guys.
And you have a very transparent process where no one gets paid other than actual workers like cameraman, editors. Nobody gets paid. And Jon Stewart's not flying first class. He's not renting a Cadillac at Hertz. He's eating at Denny's or getting fish and chips at a pub, not at the Soho Hotel in England, right? Yeah, if you do it, because people deserve that, to see utter transparency, cost cutting. I think it would work, and I think it's high time that somebody does that. Yeah,
and I think it's got to be us. It has to be us at this stage that delivers this after being shunned for so many decades.
It has to be. I have too much information. The thing about the age of disclosure is it's a bunch of guys telling you stories. And I put it out in my shitty documentary. I have code names, facility names, military intelligence people's names, a CIA agent's code name, the names of the aliens, the star systems. It's an amazing investigation that we put together.
John, this is, like I said, it's an ever-evolving topic. I know that this is just the beginning, essentially, for you, and we are going to hear a lot more from you in the future. That's a fact. Yeah. With what you're sitting on, that's an inevitability. I hope that you've got your insurance and that the right people have copies and that you've got your back covered, and I hope you're going to be hanging around for a number of years yet, and you're not thinking of doing anything silly. I know that we make those... a lot of people make those comments, don't they? When I am not feeling suicidal when they've got the kind of
I don't even have to. I appreciate that. I don't even say that because I made sure that for the last 6 years I've never thumbed my nose at the military. Every political race from Congress to governor, I always said the top of my priority is the United States military. I saved a Veterans Association hospital, myself and another congressman. Back in '99, I've got the proof. We were there. We led a grassroots campaign to save a veterans site, which they then built a $132 million surgical hospital for veterans. I have my provenance where I respect the military. I respect the government. I don't thumb my nose. I've asked for their help. I've been respectful. I agree we need to protect the technology. And all I have ever said, which I think is protecting my life, is I just want to help the government and the military come out of the closet with this story. That's it. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I don't want to give our enemies our technology. And I don't want to send anybody to jail. I just want the American people in the world to know a little bit of the truth that we do have contact with these beings. I don't think that's asking too much. And I certainly think that doesn't put me on some government hit list.
Brilliant. Jon Stewart, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been a brilliant conversation. And like I said, I know there's a hell of a lot more coming in the pipeline. And definitely would like to get you back on for a chat. I mean, I felt like we could have talked all night just about some of the information. But as you can see, we're an hour and 20 minutes in, which is it's perfect as is. But I'd love to get you back on in the future if you want. We can just shoot some ideas around and theories. I think it'd be fun. We could bounce some interesting ideas about. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining in. This has been Across the Pond. Jon Stewart has been our guest tonight. And again, if you want to have a look online, you can just look on YouTube, just put Alien Interview in 1997. It'll bring up just a plethora of different information on this interview, and you can have a finer comb through and a finer look through the details of it, because it really is a mind blower. But thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, please do like and subscribe and follow the page. Give us a share on TikTok as well. I'm operating on there now, UAP Lee. I've finally taken it on. 37 years old with my sausage fingers. I am a technophobe. I'm doing my best, guys. But please do give us a follow. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
Just in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page.
Across the pond. This is a Fox News alert. The Epstein files have been released.
Across the pond.
You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening
Very serious.
now.